Every once in a while, it's nice to take a step back from your job, your hobbies, and just relax and enjoy the earth for what it is. And with that out of the way, let's get back to the first start of the twin-turbo EG33 Impreza.
It makes noises.
It's a big fucking pump, dude.
But I heard it load down at first, so I think it moved oil back.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So getting the car ready for the first start, I went ahead and put the coil packs back on. I tightened down the radiator hose clamps, put some clamps on this side of the radiator. I attached the engine grounds, hooked up the throttle. I finished a couple intercooler pipes that didn't have clamps, so I made sure all those are clamped down. I put the battery back in the car. I made sure the ECU was good to go. I changed some settings for the larger injectors since I went from 370cc up to 550cc. And that was most of what it took to get this thing ready to just crank it over for the first time. I wired the oil pump so that it's always on right now, just to get the car potentially started up. So I actually pre-filled the turbos from the oil cooler, which I've installed right here. I just took one of the lines off and poured oil into it until I saw it coming out at the turbo. And then yesterday we did actually crank this thing over and get it primed up, and we did start the car. But we did run into a couple of problems, the first of which was the fuel line in the front here. As soon as I primed the fuel pump, started spraying fuel out. And that happened because I was taking all of the evap system from the SVX and removing that, so all the extra lines for evap that were in the engine bay, because the SVX has evap all done in the engine bay. The charcoal canister sits right up here. In my car, that's all done at the tank. So I was taking all those extra hoses off, and I modified the lines with the angle grinder since it's just steel lines. And in doing so, it looks like I nicked a spot on the fuel line and actually punctured a hole in it. And I'll show you what that looks like. So there is just a tiny pinhole right there. That was the first problem that we ran into, was a small fuel leak right up here. And Dan and I quickly took this line off. It's really quick to disconnect that line, and we grabbed the one from my spare engine and put it in place. And that is no longer leaking. Then the next thing is the dampener over here was dripping fuel a little bit. So we got a better hose clamp on that. I don't know why that was a problem. It wasn't a problem last time I was driving the car. Then the next thing we noticed was there was another oil line to the passenger side turbo that I had not tightened down. So I went ahead and tightened that down, fixed that quick oil leak. And then following that, we were actually able to start it and let it run for a minute. And the cool thing was we saw this turbo spinning. The bad thing was we did not see this turbo spinning. Really, my goals for the first start were just show me what's wrong with the car, or, you know, I needed to learn what was wrong with the car. And I didn't really plan anything to be wrong, but I just know how these things go, and, you know, the first time you fire it up, you kind of learn a little bit. You know, light is shed on things you did not know before. So that was my goal. That's what I have learned. There are things wrong with it, obviously. So that's the update. We're getting really close. I'm getting really excited to hear what this thing sounds like. The exhaust was just dumping directly into the car, so it was just super loud, kind of hard to hear anything. If I am waiting for parts, I might start fabbing a full exhaust, at least the start of one. So it's a little bit quieter when I'm trying to listen for sounds in the engine bay. But for now, that was the update. We actually made the car run with the turbos on it. One of the turbos was spinning, not both. And now we've got a little bit more work to do. It's been a long time coming for this update, but in the next episode you'll see Dan and I take this debugging to the streets and actually make some boost. Jesus, did you feel that thing pull?
Yeah, that was only like
That was like 50% throttle.
yeah, you need
Take it easy, easy on cars. We boosted, baby.